And Elli Hochenberg joins me in studio, along with former senior intelligence officer from the IDF, Raphael Jerusalmy. Great to have you both with us. We'll start with you, Elli, just to get a few more updates. Where have these workers, in fact, been taken to, evacuated into Israel to?
So it was all coordinated with Israeli authorities, obviously, and they were brought through the Erez crossing, which is usually during the Jewish high holiday season, that we just concluded, is shut down, and it again was open due to the UNRWA request. Now UNRWA is dubbing it as merely a temporary removal of those staffers. It's still unclear what will happen from this point on, though.
Of course. Now, Raphael, the workers, as Elli mentioned, were brought back into Israel via the Erez crossing, despite it being a Jewish holiday when ordinarily the crossing would be closed. What made this evacuation so urgent?
The threats were real, and they do not only concern foreign employees of UNRWA, they also concern some of the staff, local staff, mostly Arab staff there, that disagree with the demonstrators. There are actually two camps. One is organized in a trade union. It's a kind of a mafia. You have to understand that UNRWA is a very, very corrupt place. It's a kind of mafia. Most of the rations that are distributed for food are sold on the black market. There is a racket going on. The people who do have jobs in UNRWA belong to a circle of people. It's that they are cousins, uncles, aunts. It's the same families that hold those jobs. If you are a normal Gazawi person, you will not be able to enter UNRWA and have a job there. Most of these jobs should have been, as it's a charity, should have been on a voluntary basis, and there is today UNRWA is overstaffed. You've got more than 1,000 people working there. There should be much less staff, and it's already overstaffed in the educational part of it for the schools, because you have so many local teachers that studied to be teachers that are not employed, whereas you have UNRWA teachers who have absolutely no degree at all, but do get the very nice UN wages. So it's very complicated, but you have to think more in terms of mafia than a real organization taking good care of the refugees, which it should do.
Because the way that the story is presented, Elli, is that we're seeing local UNRWA workers who've been laid off due to these funding cuts lashing out against the overseas UNRWA workers. Is that a misrepresentation of the story? Well,
there's definitely the internal political aspect, as Mr. Jerusalmy just mentioned, but it is important to note that employment is so rare, employment opportunities is so rare in the Gaza Strip, that whatever is possible, obviously there's a lot of desire to take over these positions. And you have the international diplomats working for UNRWA, which are obviously better trained, more professional, again, many of them official diplomats, and the local ones that are not just perhaps not trained, but they are essentially the connection between the organization and the people. So they are an essential part of the work of UNRWA, whether you approve its actions or services it provides or not.
Okay, stay with us. We've got a social activist, Jawdat Michel, who joins me on the phone from Gaza City. Jawdat, great to have you, and thank you for your time. Now, we know that UNRWA workers are being brought into Israel due to fears for their safety. You're there in Gaza City. Should these workers be afraid?
First of all, good afternoon to all the audience. Yes, for sure, the situation in Gaza Strip is very complicated, not only exclusive on the UNRWA employee, but we are talking about all the people in Gaza Strip because of many things. For sure, the people in Gaza, like the rest of the people in this world, they are believing in the peaceful ways of finding solutions for all the problems and the harsh circumstances that we are in. And, yes, they are stressed. Most of the people in Gaza Strip are stressed, and for sure, the UNRWA employees are part of them.
Sure. Now, what do you know about these staffers receiving death threats? Aren't they all working for the same cause?
What I know about this issue, that these people, Gaza Strip is maybe the most region in the Middle East which, let us say, suffered from the unemployment high rate So these people, when someone told them, or the administration or the UNRWA told them that there will not be any work or there will not be any salaries, so that means that these people will be under the line of poverty. So that's why these kind of strikes is happening or are happening in Gaza Strip.
All right, Jawdat Michel, appreciate that insight from Gaza there. We'll move back into studio. Raphael, just some insight for you. Is there the concern that these children that are no longer perhaps able to access the resources from these UNRWA schools due to funding cuts, the fact that they could perhaps fall into the hands of Hamas, is that a legitimate concern?
It is a legitimate concern, not because of the fact that they could be like radicalized by Hamas, because UNRWA was known to radicalize the children as well. There were many problems in the curriculum taught by UNRWA, including encouraging terrorism and violence. But still, it was a framework for children to go to a place to go to. It was a school to get a meal a day, which is very important. And we're having here a human disaster at our door. So, ironically, the UNRWA workers are taking it on against like the Western world, more or less, because these foreign workers are from the UN, are from Germany, from England, from Ireland. But really, the responsibility falls with the Arab world, because why should we take care of all these people when we have such rich countries as Saudi Arabia, etc., and the Emirates, who almost give nothing, should do the job. Now that there is a vacuum because of the American sanctions, it seems to be that Saudi Arabia, the Emirates, maybe even Qatar will chip in. There are some promises of money, but usually these countries make promises and then they pledge and then the money never arrives. The European Union is also trying to chip in, but the same. The European Union also promised $5 billion to reconstruct Gaza after the last operation, and not even 500 million arrived.
Sure, and I suppose as you point to, it's important to look at it, I suppose, what these children are being taught as well.
Who is going to help these people, really? Who can they count on? Well, like the UN staffers now, on Israel. Israel will be, in the end, the only one who will provide the humanitarian basic needs, whether it's medical supplies, whether it's food, but maybe also equipment for teachers, because we cannot allow to have next door to us such a terrible human disaster, even though everybody else might be wrong.
So, Elli, how does Israel view these funding cuts then?
So, first of all, just to add to what Mr. Jerusalmy just said, on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly last Friday, there was a committee that was convened, and European and Arab countries indeed committed to donate about $120 million to UNRWA. It's still far away, hundreds of millions of dollars away than the budget they got from the United States altogether. Netanyahu was as skeptical as Mr. Jerusalmy as for will this money actually go to the humanitarian needs in the Gaza Strip, and he's saying it's all about the economy. It's the West Bank, it's the administration in Ramallah, due to political reasons, that is suffocating the Gaza Strip, and they're the ones to blame. They're leaving them with nothing, and this is why we're seeing so much violence and so much tension there.
And a lot of fear that, in fact, it could backfire. Raphael Jerusalmy,